Democratic U.S. Senator Padilla of California has been forcefully removed from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's news conference in Los Angeles and handcuffed by officers as he tried to speak up about immigration raids that have led to protests in California and elsewhere. According to Associated Press, video shows a Secret Service agent on Noem's security detail grabbing Padilla by his jacket Thursday and shoving him from the room as he tried to interrupt Noem's news conference in Los Angeles. U.S. Senator Padilla said he was demanding answers about the Trump administration's increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions from Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem when he was forcibly removed from her news conference. Padilla said he and his colleagues had received little to no response to their questions in recent weeks, so he attended the briefing for more information.
Just moments ago, I was covering a news conference in Los Angeles with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Just a few minutes into the news conference, Senator Padilla interrupted her news conference. He was protesting the federal government's recent intervention in Los Angeles and ICE protests in the past week. He was shouting some stuff, and it definitely deterred from Noem's press conference and turned the attention onto him. It was only a matter of seconds before he was removed from the room, and they said that we weren't allowed to follow him, but it did get loud and sound like a bit of a scuffle before he was restrained and taken out.
So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this.
Hands up.
Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians.
Because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about.
Secretary Noem was taking questions from reporters at the end of the news conference and was asked about the interruption. She said that he hadn't reached out to try to talk to her and criticized kind of the method of protest, saying that it was inappropriate. In her news conference, Noem promised to move forward with the Trump administration's immigration crackdowns in Los Angeles that have spread across a dozen major cities, saying that agents had thousands and thousands of targets.
Exaggerating and embellishing. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to
hands off.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked or
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I find behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here.
I did not know.
There's no recording allowed out here per FBI regs for the building.
For what, I'm sorry?
There's no recording allowed out here.
That's my boss. I have to
There's no recording allowed out
sir.
here. You can record. There's no recording allowed out here.
I'm not a member
There's
of the
no
press.
recording allowed out here.
I understand that's your
Protests over federal immigration enforcement raids and President Donald Trump's move to mobilize the National Guard and Marines in Los Angeles are spreading nationwide and are expected to continue into the weekend. According to Associated Press, while many demonstrations against the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency have been peaceful, with marchers chanting slogans and carrying signs, others have led to clashes with police, hundreds of arrests and the use of chemical irritants to disperse crowds. Activists say they will hold even larger demonstrations in the coming days, with No Kings events across the country on Saturday to coincide with Trump's planned military parade in Washington, D.C. The Trump administration said immigration raids and deportations will continue regardless. Hundreds of protesters marched through downtown Seattle Wednesday evening to a federal building where immigration cases are heard, with some dragging a dumpster nearby and setting it on fire. The building was covered in graffiti, with "Abolish ICE Now" written in large letters across its front window. Some protesters moved electric bikes and cones to block its entrance. Dozens of officers squared off with protesters near the federal building, with some shooting pepper spray. Officers worked to move the crowd away from the federal building, with some protesters throwing fireworks and rocks at officers, according to the Seattle Police Department. The U.S. has begun evacuating non-essential personnel and family members from its embassies and military bases in the Middle East in light of escalating tensions with Iran. The move follows President Donald Trump's accusation that Tehran is slow-walking negotiations. Based on our latest analysis, we decided to reduce the footprint of our mission in Iraq, the State Department said in an emailed statement to the media. Reuters cited a U.S. official as saying that voluntary departures had also been authorized at the embassies in Kuwait and Bahrain. So, United States is on high alert over concerns that Israel might launch a strike on Iranian nuclear facilities, the Washington Post reported. The Trump administration is concerned that Israel could target Iran's nuclear sites without U.S. approval if nuclear talks between Washington and Tehran break down. Amid these fears, heightened tensions have emerged as hopes fade for President Trump to reach a deal with Tehran to limit Iran's nuclear program and prevent another major conflict in the Middle East following the Israel-Hamas war. The Pentagon has likewise approved the departure of family members from military installations in the region. CENTCOM is working in close coordination with our Department of State counterparts, as well as our allies and partners in the region, to maintain a constant state of readiness to support any number of missions around the world at any time, a defense official told reporters. According to the Washington Post, American intelligence officials are concerned that Israel may strike Iranian nuclear facilities without U.S. consent. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office dismissed reports last month that Israel was discussing potential strikes with Trump as fake news. In an interview with the New York Post aired, Trump said he was less confident about reaching a deal with Iran after 5 rounds of negotiations mediated by Oman failed to produce a breakthrough. The president previously said he wanted to completely dismantle Iran's nuclear program, something Tehran has firmly rejected. Iran is not seeking a nuclear weapon, and U.S. militarism only fuels instability, the Iranian mission to the UN said in a statement on X. Defense Minister Aziz Naserzadeh warned that Iran would target all U.S. bases across the region without hesitation, if attacked. The Iranian military discussed a possible response to the Israeli attack. New York Times reported this, citing an Iranian official. Tehran reportedly has prepared a plan for an immediate counterattack using hundreds of ballistic missiles. It should be noted that U.S. media have received information from Washington that Israel is ready to conduct a military operation against Iran.